Good day and welcome to the Old Mutual Retirement Discussion. With me, I have Mandlene Gweli, who's one of our SuperFund members. And retirement subject is quite a complex one, right? What we've established is that retirement is not a once-off, a journey. It's, it takes a lot of thinking, planning, and ensuring that you know where you are as far as your retirement objectives are concerned in order to prepare for a desired future. Mandlene,
Yes.
as someone who's been working for a number of years in the retirement industry, but also as someone who's a member of a fund, what's your viewpoint on the subject of retirement? What does it mean to you? Does it even carry any weight, any value? And what are your thoughts about the subject?
Yeah, well, it does carry a lot of value, I think, and obviously, from speaking from my age, I do have quite a lot of concerns around it. I think about retirement a lot because I'm in my early 40s, and I've got a family with 3 kids, and obviously, so I put a lot of thought in it. And I think one of the things that come to mind is when I reflect about what retirement means to me, I think about the regrets and some of the things I've done in the early years when I started working. And obviously, with changing jobs during that time, I was withdrawing from the savings, and obviously that's a temptation that's there. And I've done that, and obviously those are some of the things that are starting to catch up with me over time. So now that I'm reflecting, I do think about whether I've saved enough or not. And as I'm drawing closer to retirement, I'm starting to feel that I need to do more and I need to invest more towards my retirement. And so yes. And I think one of the other things that I sort of reflect on is the fact that the political landscape in our country as well does have an impact on our retirement outcomes in terms of the manner in which we save. And sometimes it's not even from my own doing, but you worry about the instability in the political landscape. I mean, a few days ago, I was reading up an article that talks about beyond the Trump economics. And that article was basically talking around the overhaul of the pension system in South Africa. And there were a few thought-provoking ideas that come out of that, because one of the main things that the author was looking at is how members can really be impacted by global political issues in their retirement savings when they retire, and which is out of their control, really. And whatever happens there with the Trump issue that's currently happening, affecting the markets, that could have a negative impact for the guys that are retiring. So those are some of the issues that you think about as you draw closer, because you're also thinking legacy. You've got kids, you think about the mistakes you've made in the past, and you want to catch up. Had an expert speaking about to live comfortably at retirement, you need to at least have about 14 times your annual salary, which is quite a scary thought, considering that you're not quite there. So those are some of the things that you start thinking about, because you know how valuable it is, because now you want to live longer after retirement, and you want to be able to cater for your spouse as well as your children when you retire. So retirement is a very important subject
to you. And someone may be watching this, clip in terms of, our discussion, and perhaps they can relate to some parts of your, retirement journey in terms of maybe having retired, or not even retired, having withdrawn in the process, and what that means as far as their outcomes are concerned. What would you say are maybe 1 or 2 things that a person can focus on? Because remember, we always tell members that regardless of where you may be as far as your retirement savings are concerned, there's always a room for improvement. So in your opinion, what are those things that members may be looking out for in order to weave into their retirement savings objectives?
Look, if you in my age, I would say think about investing more. Think about those annual voluntary contributions into your savings, and start putting them away. Plan them nicely so that they don't affect, obviously, your daily living and expenses that you have to cater for. But do think about putting away more, even if you increase that gradually over the years, increasing by 0.5% of your annual salary or 1 time of your annual salary. But also do think about a totally different investment strategy, and think about targeting high growth investment portfolios, and looking at ensuring that whatever you invest in gives you enough returns above CPI going forward, especially if you have time. I still have a couple of years. So those are the kind of thoughts I'm playing around with, and having wanting to invest in high growth portfolios, because I know that I can make up, especially with the plan that I have over the years to make up for the losses that I've made. So I would leave people with those two things.
So with the two-pot system, which gives people access to their retirement savings, and then we've seen patterns of people withdrawing against their funds, which is okay, right? This is access that people have. But then again, we have got the other, element of preservation, right? Which is the second outcome that members would have as far as their retirement outcomes are concerned. So in your opinion, do you think this preservation mechanism will yield positive results over the years? More so that we already have a better part of the working population not having enough saved up by the time they retire. So do you suspect with the preservation that came with the two-pot system, we may see a bit of improvement as far as people's retirement savings objectives?
I hope we do. I really think it's very important to preserve, especially for people at my age. There's temptation with the two-pot system, but also there's a taxation bit of it that people need to consider very carefully. Because whatever you do when it comes to claiming that two-pot monies, there's quite a high tax burden that's going to be borne to you. So you want to preserve. And I think that's the most important part, and that's often the part that we miss the most. Because preservation at least gives you some hope that you can get to your desired future at retirement. And so that's the one piece that people need to consider, and I think it's a very important piece that we can't leave out, especially people considering what to do next. Consider preservation whenever you get an opportunity to access or leave your employer, whether through resignation, retirement, resignation, retrenchment, or otherwise.
Or dismissal,
Or dismissal, yes, that's the word. So do consider preservation. I think that's a very important piece we can't leave out.
So when we sum it up, the second outcome of the two-pot system being, preservation, which will help people to get better retirement outcomes. So people in the future will have more confidence, to address needs they may have at that retirement stage, and also where I may be changing employments, I may be, trying where I can to ensure that I preserve, to also avoid any, heavy tax penalties that I may need to suffer as a result of me, taking those monies. So
look, just to add on that, obviously I've like I said earlier, I've changed jobs often, and there's been that temptation, but there's been a difference, and a huge difference that you see in your savings where you've preserved compared to withdrawing all your savings. There's a huge difference in looking at the growth that's happening over time, and also what we spoke about earlier, which is adding a bit through voluntary contributions. That also shows an impact. And in years where you've decided, and it's not always the same, right? Some years you might not be able to contribute more because of the expenses, but you can literally see the difference in your growth and in your savings growth when you haven't done that. So I think those are two important pieces that you have to consider when it comes to that preservation.
Mandleni, thank you so much for those pearls of wisdom. And I suspect that if you may be watching this segment, you get to see the value of preservation, but also understanding that as much as the two-pot system is here to, give us an option or an opportunity to withdraw our savings, but also understand the impact, heavy tax penalties you may have to deal with as a result. And take care of yourself and, continue doing great things every day. Thank you.